Physics 123, sections 1 and 2, lab. Right now we're in week 3, and we're going to be doing lab 2. It's called dimensional analysis. I was told by Dr. Simison that she had pretty well introduced the concept to you of dimensional analysis. So that takes a lot of burden off of me. I'm probably going to do, I could possibly, this might be 4 lectures I might give, four little mini lectures or less. I'm not yet decided. When you read the instructions for the first part, you're going to see that they did a lot of the work for you. And so let me just say something for those of you who are still struggling with this concept of dimensional analysis. My first problem with it when I learned about this was the word dimensional. The way I used dimensional throughout my life was it meant the measurement of something. Like, what's the dimensions of the room? It's an 8 by 12-foot room. What's the dimensions on that part that you're machining? Well, it's 5 inches wide and 3 inches thick, or something like that. You're drilling a 2-inch hole. So that's how I was familiar with the use of the word dimension. So this usage of this word is maybe different than what you're familiar with. I like the word domain instead of dimension, but it's conventionally referred to as dimensional analysis. But if you had a different word to replace it with, it might be helpful. So, like for me, domain, like there's a spatial domain. Spatial domain is measured in length. Temporal domain, time, is measured with seconds. The domain of temperature is measured in degrees or something like this. So you have these different domains, and if you want to use that word instead, and they're all measured. They all have different physical quantities that measure them. So, as you know, a pendulum, right? It goes like this. So you're going to do you're going to use this methodology to determine the period. A period is when when something does one full cycle. So if I started here, one full cycle would be here to back where it started. That's considered one cycle. That's considered one period. The time of that, let me rephrase that. This is one cycle. The time of one cycle is called one period. The period length, so that's measured in seconds. How long did it take it to do this to this? I understand that you've already done these kind of calculations, but you were using frequency. You can use what you know about frequency to double check your answers, because frequency equals 1 divided by the period in time. Okay, so if you know what the frequency is, how many times per cycle, you put that under a 1 and you'll end up with the period. So if you're able to do this, if you're able to do frequency, you're able to do period. As you can see, they did a lot of the work for you here. They wanted you to, this is a very well organized thing. So there are 3 things that they were curious to know: the time, the length, and the mass are basically going to be in the formula. And you know that only time is going to be on the one side. So over here, there should only be ultimately time on this one side here. So you're going to end up manipulating these exponents so that if there's an L on the top, there's got to be an L on the bottom to cancel it out. If there's a, or it just simply is, like in this case, they give this to you, I think, don't they? Do they tell you the one? Let's see here. Let me see if it's. I don't want to give you too much. Oh, let's see here. I don't see it, so I better not say. But you know that all all the t over here is going to equal the t over here. The L over here is going to equal the L over there. In terms of exponential, the m is going to equal the m over here in terms of these exponents. So this exponent's got to equal that exponent. All the L exponents are going to equal that exponent there. So you end up with 3 simultaneous equations. They give you a lot of help right here. 0 equals a plus b. So this a and that b have to equal 0 when they add up. So what does that tell you? Doesn't that tell you that one is the negative of the other? Maybe, possibly, or maybe not. Maybe. They show you this little thing over here that's helpful. I went through it and I did it, so I can help you if you're stuck. So give me a call. I would suggest also that if I should have already brought this up, but you can go online and you can Google stuff like exponent and rules or something. Let's see, rules. You can find things that will help properties of exponents. Okay, there's one. There's a nice one. Things like this I would print out, things that are helpful, because you might be a little rusty on these things. So here's some rules, duty. These things can be very helpful. I would print out a number of these and just throw them in your notes. Make a photocopy, put them in different books. Maybe you could find a couple of better tables than even this. Those kind of things can be helpful because you might not memorize. Maybe you didn't memorize all these things. This one was real helpful. This one's real helpful. That one's helpful. Yeah. So let's see what we got. How many minutes? That was 7 minutes. Okay, I talked longer than I wanted to. I'll do another video on the next part of the experiment.